All right, we're live. Oh,
I should get my microphone sorted, shouldn't I? Da-da-da. How unprepared was I there? Yeah. You see, I miss a week and I forget my whole workflow. All right. So that seems a little different somehow. Anyway, I'm sure it's fine there. Let me take these off. I've been wearing these last couple of weeks, 2 weeks maybe. I notice because I'm spending more time in front of the screen, which is kind of a consequence of running more ads. I'm developing a lot more YouTube ads. I'm really sort of all in on YouTube advertising at the moment. So that means videos. So I've been sort of looking at my workflow, developing a new workflow for that to allow me to go from, creative idea to finished advert as rapidly as possible. So that meant more time in front of the screen, which I got to the end of, I think it was the week before last, I got to the end of the week and my eyes were really sore. And I was like, I need something to protect me. So I bought these. These have been fantastic. I mean, inexpensive. And they've been absolutely brilliant in terms of I've had no headaches, no nothing. They filter out the blue light. So I just wear them constantly all day while I'm in front of the screen. So let me share a little bit. I've been just going back through not my journal as such. I have a journal and I have a where I map out a week. I've been going through that for the last few weeks. I've just been looking back at the last couple of weeks to kind of share some of the insights and some of what's been going on in my world. So once I kind of made that decision to go all in on YouTube, there was a number of reasons behind that. One, it's something which goes back probably a decade. Like I had friends of mine saying you should do stuff on YouTube, you should do more stuff on YouTube, more advertising material and such like. So that's always been in the back of my mind. I've always done some YouTube, not a lot, but then I decided to do it full time to kind of really understand the platform, really understand the algorithm, really understand what I could and couldn't do with it. And so obviously as a part of that, it was like, okay, you need to develop some ads. The ads are all video. Video has got so much easier. Like from the point of view of the kind of things that I'm promoting at the moment, I don't have to be on camera. So it's not about me recording my face or I don't even have to have my voice on camera. I don't have to record my voice at all. So because of the nature of text to speech and because of the nature of some of these video programs that are out there, so literally my workflow has become writing a script, taking the script, turning that into speech, which is, I've used a number of bits of software. I've got one at the moment, which I'm settled on, which is pretty cool. And you literally just put it in, choose a voice, so if I'm promoting to, and I'm testing different ways of looking at this, but like, for example, if I'm promoting something to the USA, then I'm typically choosing a male American voice. So some form of American accent. I couldn't tell you which one specifically, but I don't know, like New Jersey type accent. And I'm just running it. And I am also testing running a British accent to an American audience as well, because I feel that if they hear the voice, then it would stand out because it's different. So it's not a typical accent that they would normally hear. So that's been my thinking, because obviously the first part of any advert, and I'll run through this actually in the little time I've got, I'll run through kind of the key elements of an advert that you're fitting into effectively around about 2 minutes. A minute and a half, 2 minutes is my average length of my adverts. So I'll kind of run through that. But one of the first parts of it, because obviously if you've seen YouTube, if you're watching a video on YouTube, then you've got the in-stream ads, which come up before the video you want to watch. And so within that, you've got 5 seconds before you can click away. So in that 5 seconds, you've really got to do a number of things. One, you've got to gain the attention of the person watching so that they feel that they want to watch more than the 5 seconds instead of watching the video they were going to watch. So that's your first kind of hurdle. But secondly, within that, like, you can create an advert which kind of, I guess, creates intrigue, creates curiosity. And so somebody kind of watches beyond the 5 seconds, but actually it's not relevant to them. Now, the good thing, of course, is that you do get, I think it's just under about 30 seconds before you get charged. So they could watch 30 seconds of the ad. So you're wanting to maximize that to really qualify your audience. Now, this ties in with any kind of messaging that you do anywhere. Your headline, your opening paragraph, your opening few lines should all really be about qualifying your audience, as in telling them what they're going to get. So here's the big promise, and telling them who it's for. And I would say if I just scroll through LinkedIn, for example, people looking to maximize engagement, people looking to, I guess, find clients and customers, most of what they write does not imply a specific person. So there's a difference between writing just to get comments and likes versus writing to qualify, filter out all the people that are not relevant to you so that you only get the people that are relevant to you. And that's the first key principle of writing an ad. You only want the people that are relevant. Like the algorithm is getting to the point where, and because they don't charge you for that first 30 seconds, you're at a point where you want to heavily qualify. You want to make sure if somebody watches beyond 30 seconds, they are absolutely the right person who should be watching the rest of the ad. And if they're not, you want to have got rid of them. You want to filter them out so they skip immediately. By doing that, that means the only people that you are paying for to watch your ad are the people that your ad is actually designed for, which means you got to use your messaging. You got to tell them, you got to hook them in. That's standard. Like obviously you write a hook in any kind of material that you write, or you should be doing anyway, in some form, even if it's not structured as a headline, but just structured in the first paragraph. Okay, here's what I've discovered. Here's what I'm sharing. Here's why I'm sharing it. Then within that, you want to be making clear, here's what you're going to get from this, and here's who it's for. And there's a number of ways of doing that. There's a number of ways of making it more sexy. There's a number of ways of making it more subtle. But fundamentally, it should do that. Like most of my ads, I would say at this point in time, are opening with the problem. So they're problem focused. It's like, if you have this problem, this is relevant to you. Very simple. And then, of course, beyond that, it's like, okay, here's why you want to click my ad. Because if obviously if they don't click, they don't go to the next step. They don't go to the next step, they're never going to buy. So that's kind of logic. So you've got to make sure that within that, it's like, so I'm hitting them with the problem. And this goes back, when we ran the property events years ago, the adverts that we ran in newspapers were very similar. We had problem-focused ads in the sense of, will your pension pay for your retirement? That was a reminder of and raising and dropping in a seed of a potential problem. And they work really well because people go, oh, I don't know. And they go and check, and I've told these stories before where a conversation, and this came out literally of conversations with people at like parties and things like this, where I'd said, like, is your pension going to cover your retirement? Most people think it will. They don't even think about it. They just go, of course it will. That's what I've got it for. And it's like, actually, you need to check it. And so out of that, a number of people who came back to me saying, I checked it and you're right. It's like, it's worth less than I paid in. And so we need to do something different. And that prompted that style of ad of let's focus on the problem. Let's get people really understanding they have a problem because they're going to thank you for making them aware anyway. So it's that same idea. So it's a problem, typically a problem-focused opening, a problem-focused hook. If you have this problem, then here's a potential solution. Then within that, like let's say you run some sort of health and fitness ad, particularly weight loss, massive industry, obviously. And then within that, there's God knows how many hundreds of thousands of products and all sorts of things that relate to it, from exercise programs through to pills and things that you can take, or stuff you can try, or things you can wear. I mean, like, there's so many different approaches to weight loss. Massive industry. But say, for example, I mean, if you look at it in terms of effort, human beings, by their nature, for the most part, would rather do less effort. So the idea of being able to lose weight by changing nothing other than taking a magic pill would be the most appealing thing in the world, because, of course, there's no effort to it. It's like, I don't have to give up chocolate cake. I don't have to change my calories. Don't have to do any exercise. So within the problem, when you highlight, you're struggling to lose weight, for example, or be more specific, are you struggling to lose belly fat? So it's like focused around a specific area, which is an area of prime concern for most people, because, of course, that's what they see and that's what other people see first. But then within that, if you really want to kind of say, look, here's a way to lose weight, then, of course, they're going to be thinking, well, I've heard all this before. So then you got to layer that on. You got to find a way to state that in a unique way. And I've mentioned this before, the whole purpose of being able to state what you're offering in some way which is unique, which they haven't seen before, is so that they have new hope. Because if someone who's trying to lose weight, have they tried to lose weight in the past? Pretty much guaranteed. So they're the kind of person who's looking to find a solution. So things they've tried in the past haven't worked. They need something that's going to give them new hope, invigorate a new idea. So you got to put it across with a unique angle in some way. But then the second part of that is you've got to remind them of what's not involved. So the more you can take away the effort, the better. So if you said, look, I've got a new solution, and obviously give that new solution some kind of name or an angle that doesn't involve restricting your diet, that doesn't involve exercise, that doesn't involve getting up at 5:30 in the morning, that doesn't involve starving yourself, then immediately you've taken away all the effort aspects of it. You've taken away all the things that they go like, yeah, I've seen this before. It works, but I've got to like live on one banana a day, or I can only have one meal a day and it's 800 calories and blah, blah, blah. And although those things obviously would work, or, it's kind of like, well, we're going to make sure you exercise 8 hours a day. Like if you're doing 8 hours a day, 2 hours of swimming and 2 hours of running and 2 hours of swimming again and 2 hours more of running, or 90 minutes in the gym lifting heavy weights or doing some sort of HIIT session every day as well. You do that you're going to burn 5,000 calories a day. Of course, you're going to lose weight, but nobody wants to hear that. So therefore, you're looking for a unique angle. You're highlighting a problem. And then you also want to, as much as the product will allow you to, obviously you can't lie about a product, as much as the product will allow you to, you then want to strip away all the effort that's involved. So will it mean they can use this without exercising? Does it mean they can do this without giving up their favorite cake? Does it mean they can do this without starving themselves? So you put all of that in. Now, if you relate that directly to whatever you're selling, if you're selling coaching, for example, back to what's the promise? So either what is the result you're going to get them, or what is the problem you're going to solve? Is it a problem they want to solve? Is it a problem they're aware of, or is it a problem you're making them aware of? Is it the reason that they've been frustrated? Like typically in the coaching space, most of the ads I see relate to helping coaches get clients, obviously. So that's really some sort of marketing person who's a coach in the sense of helping other coaches market their services. So all the things people might have tried in the past that haven't worked would have built up their frustration. So if they're frustrated with posting 6 million times a day, but they're getting no traction, if they're frustrated with the fact that they set up a Facebook group, because that's the easy part, but then actually getting people in it on a regular basis and engaging with them and turning those people into customers, that's not the easy part. That takes more attention, it takes more effort, it takes more strategy, it takes more out of the box thinking at times. And again, remember, of course, something that has been done before, as it gets done more and more, saturates the market. The more it saturates the market, the less effective it is. So you're always looking for new ways of doing things. So anyway, so one that can take away all those frustrations. So if you're selling coaching, what's the problem you solve? What are all the frustrations your client would already have experienced? And how are you taking those away? Because if you can basically put a message in front of them that says, if you have this problem, boom, here's a solution that doesn't involve any boom, 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 boom. So take away all the frustrations. That's a standard, simple hook formula. And that works really well. So the difference with YouTube is one, you want to teach the algorithm to find you buyers, and it will. This is the thing about it. So a couple of lessons that have come out this week. One is you need to generate enough views of your ad to make sure you know if your ad's working. Because if you break it down, like you've got a couple of things going on. You've got the ad itself. You need people to click the ad. When they click the ad, they then go to your first landing page. So when you get to your landing page then needs to move them to whatever the next action is. So inside of YouTube, obviously you need to, I kind of work around an average of 150 impressions. So if my ad has had 150 impressions and no clicks whatsoever, then that's a really bad ad. So in which case, it's like you got to change something. Now, if there's one caveat on this, because I did this week actually, I set up a new campaign, and on YouTube you can target by demographics. So in other words, age and gender and all that kind of stuff. You can target by keyword. So you can say anybody searching for this keyword in YouTube, show them my ad. You can target by placement. So in other words, somebody going to watch Justin Timberlake singing with Chris, whatever he's called, the Say Something song. You can say, if anyone goes to that, show my ad. So you can do it by placement. So in other words, you can say other videos, any of these other videos, if anybody goes to watch any of these, put my ad in front of them. So you do it by placements. I tend to focus on keywords. Placements, Placements one requires a lot of research and there are tools to help you with this, but again, you end up typing in a keyword to come back with a list of placements, to go through all those placements individually and check, is this relevant? Is this not relevant? So you build up a list of placements, and then that's what you're putting in your campaign. I found that with that, you need a long list to actually get any views whatsoever. In other words, for your ad to be shown to anybody, you need a long list of placements. In the early days, that made sense because the algorithm wasn't where it is today. So in other words, the algorithm couldn't help you as much, and it wasn't able to learn. Whereas now, you want to get your ad in front of people quickly so that the algorithm can start to learn from it. So I had a campaign this week where I'd used keywords, but I'd been too restrictive with the keywords. I literally had about 3 keywords in the campaign. So 24 hours later, nobody had seen my ad. Like literally, it hadn't shown it to anybody. So of course, that doesn't tell me anything. If nobody's seen the ad, then of course, I've got no idea whether it's any good or not. So it's like I had to expand it out. So it was a good lesson. It's like, don't be too restrictive. Like, yes, a couple of years back, certainly 5 years back, then, the skill of media buying involved being able to find these placements and doing a lot of the work manually. So that's where the whole kind of peel and stick concept came from. You put in all these things and then you check back in whatever 24, 48 hours and you see what's driving leads, what's driving sales, and then you kind of remove them out. It's a bit like, if you were on the display network now, you could do something similar, and then you go in, check everywhere that your ad is being shown. So what websites is it being shown on? And obviously take out the ones that aren't driving any leads. So that's kind of just trimming. It's like pruning, isn't it? It's like you're just pruning the list constantly. And that used to be a big part of media buying, not so much anymore. So back to this. So I went back in and basically added a few more keywords. And so the list expanded and then it started to get traction. So in other words, the ad was being shown to more and more and more people. So very quickly, I got an idea, I got a sense of, is this ad working? Now, although this was a new campaign, I had run a campaign for this product previously. So my ads then, I'd run 3 ads, all similar, and I just changed the opening 5 seconds on all of them. One of them stood out, did much better than the other 2. But then it was like, okay, I've got a new campaign. I want to try a new type of ad. And what I did with this ad is I added in a lot more social proofs. In other words, I added in testimonials into the ad. So the ad was 2 minutes. I made it a little bit longer, but therefore it had more proof. So my instinct was that this ad should perform better out the gate because it's got more credibility, it's got more believability, it's got more proof. And that was the case. So straight out the gate, once it started getting shown to people, clicks started coming in. The cost per click, massively different. Like, I've had campaigns where within the first 24 hours, I'm getting clicks, but it's costing me like $7, $8 a click, which is ridiculous. This is like out the gate. It's, it's down below $2. So it's like, okay, that's not where I want it, but it's a good start. And remember, all I'm interested in the beginning, if you're running this as an affiliate, what I'm interested in the beginning is I want to get a sale. I want to see the product make a sale so that I know it's worth pursuing. So I'm not interested in making a profit. I'm interested in making a sale. Once I know I can get a sale, then I know I can make it profitable by changing, the ads, basically. So same idea for you. You've got to give it enough time. You've got to allow the algorithm enough space to show the ad to people that are potentially relevant to you. You've got to give it enough time to learn, and you've got to pay attention to it to make sure it's getting the results you want. So is it getting clicks? Are they coming to your landing page? From the landing page, what's the next action you want to take? So in my case, I just wanted to click a button. I mean, literally in the beginning, I'm not trying to collect email addresses. That comes later. If you're selling coaching and obviously this is the product I'm selling, then you probably right from day one, probably want to generate an email list. However, what I would say is, actually, I'll just share this with you. It's like 30,000 foot view. One of the things I've been working on this week for one of my courses is a new, if you like, a new webinar or a new video sales letter. However, the strategy for it is slightly different. Rather than come and watch the webinar, so where typical traditional approach is you're basically advertising the webinar, somebody says, yes, I want to watch it, and you immediately ask for their email address. I'm flipping this on the head, inspired by some of the things I've seen, where I'm actually going to break the webinar into 3 pieces. And so that first piece, there is no opt-in. So it's literally watch this webinar. So within that, I'm highlighting the problem, touching on the solution, giving lots of value. And then at the end of that, it's like, do you want to continue? So at that point, I'm saying, okay, give me your email address, then you can go to part 2. So what you're doing is, again, you're giving the prospect, there's 2 things happening. One, you're really qualifying the prospect, because if they get to the end of the video, or they get halfway through that first video and they're not interested at all, it's not relevant to them, they're going to go. So why have them on the list just sitting there taking up space when they're not actually ever going to do anything? So you're qualifying them much more powerfully. Secondly, you're giving yourself more opportunity to really educate your client, because particularly with coaching type services, you need to educate your client. You need to make them aware that what you are offering is relevant to them, because nobody knows otherwise. And I saw there was a post yesterday on LinkedIn, somebody saying, how long should a sales pitch be? And it was a little poll where the maximum the poll allowed was 15 minutes. And it's like, well, I've got on stage and done pitches which are 90 minutes, because you need all of that time to educate somebody as to why they'd want to do what you're going to do. So it's a similar idea. So you can give them like 20 minutes of video, or maybe 30 minutes of video in the beginning, where it's kind of, okay, look, let me share the problem. Let me explain some of the insights you're going to need to know, things I know that you don't know. So that's how it is. You're educating your prospects on things they don't know that are relevant to them getting the solution they want, getting the outcome they want. So then at the end of that, you're then saying, okay, look, to go to the next step, would you like more? Like you could literally, one of the things I'm thinking of testing, and actually will test, is where you give them all of it. So you give them all of the insight, all of the education that they need. And at the end of it, say, look, you can go run away and do this for yourself, because I've given you everything you need. I've given you the recipe. Or if you want my help with it, click here and I'll tell you what the package is. I'll tell you what the offer is. And that's another way of testing it, because then at that point, people are like, oh, yes, it'd be good to have the help, because there are people that want the help, and they'll go click, tell me what the offer is. Now you've got their interest. Now you've got them on your email list. Now they genuinely have raised their hand and said, I'm interested. And if they don't, you could say, okay, well, there wasn't any purpose in doing that at this time. They're going to remember it. So they're not going to forget your presentation. They're not going to forget what you've educated them with. So they may come back at a later stage anyway of their own devices, particularly if they are on a platform like Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube and they're seeing your material on a regular basis. So that's the kind of thing I'm testing. So it, rather than upfront saying, okay, give me your email address, it's like, no, let me give you value first. Then I'll tell you the reason for giving you my email address is because I want to show you how I can help you implement this and guide you through it, rather than just trying to be, I'm trying to sell something. So on my landing pages at the moment, I'm literally saying, okay, click this button. So I'm making a little case, like literally there's not that much on the landing page. There's a repetition of the headline, and then a little bit of more education, like a couple of bullet points really. And then just saying, okay, look, click this button to go see the full presentation. So I'm pre-framing that they're watching something which explains why what I've advertised works. That's how I'm doing it at the moment. So my ongoing click-through rate, is very high. It's well above 90%. So literally the majority of people that click my ad then click the button on the landing page to continue to the next step. And that's really what's working really well. So within that, a couple of little things, and then I'll wrap up for the day, because probably trying to throw a lot at you in one go. So one, I've learned not to be too targeted with the YouTube ads, just to give the algorithm a chance to show it to people so that I can get some data. So rather than relying on the algorithm to find exactly who I want straight out the gate, I'm relying on my ad, and I'm relying on the fact that you've got that 30 seconds to play with to really qualify people. Like you literally could, in one sense, if you had, let's say you had $100 a day budget to begin with, you could literally go in and just say, show it to the whole world. Obviously the reason you narrow things down is so the algorithm can learn faster. You want to teach the algorithm. So you want to narrow down. You're not really, needle in a haystack is too extreme. You're not really looking for a needle in a haystack, but you're probably looking for a couple of thousand or 20,000 needles in a haystack. So rather than saying to the algorithm, go look, just show this ad to everybody in the haystack, what you're trying to do is narrow it down a little bit to give it a better starting point. Does that make sense? But obviously make it too tight and nobody sees it. So give, in the beginning, when you're targeting your ads, give them enough room, enough wiggle room to be able to display your ad. utilize that first 30 seconds of your ad to really qualify people, because you're not getting charged for that 30 seconds. So you want, when people have got the option to skip your ad within 5 seconds, you want everybody the ad is not relevant to skip the ad. If not within the first 5 seconds, certainly within the first 30 seconds. So then they're gone. It does not cost you anything. The algorithm's learning from all of that, because it's learning that person wasn't interested. What are their typical interests, so on and so on. So it's learning all the time. So allow it. Give it the space to breathe. Give it the space to learn. So the ad, let me run down. So, a couple of things then with the campaign. What you do want to, obviously you need your tracking in place. So make sure you're using Google Tag Manager. Make sure you're tracking everything. With my ads, one of the things I'm interested in, I want to know, I build up a segment of people who, I want all the people that click the ad. So if they click the ad, they go through to the landing page. So I create an audience of everyone that's been on the landing page. Obviously, I can retarget them if they don't click the button and go to the next page. I have an audience of all the people that have seen the ad but not clicked. So some of those, like as I say, I'm trying to really qualify and get rid of people that this is not relevant to. But I'm also aware that there'll be people who clicked because they're in a hurry, but it may still be relevant to them. So that becomes a good audience to test new ads with. That makes sense. So once you start your campaign, it's really good to have an audience, a segment of your audience, which is people who've seen the ad but didn't click. How do you know they didn't click? Because they've seen the ad, but they didn't get to the landing page. So if you've got those two, so the way you set it up is you have an audience of everyone who's clicked your ad, everyone who's seen your ad. You build that up. That's easy. You just set it up inside your ad account. And then you can create an audience of everyone that's seen that's landed on the landing page. So then if you take the first audience and exclude the second audience, what you're left with are the people that have seen the ad but didn't click. And those are the people you can test new creatives, new ads with, okay? So that's one way to approach it. So that's been kind of a big lessons for me, is one, how to set the campaign up properly so that you can continue to test new ads in a more effective and efficient way. Secondly, of course, making sure you're using the creative. Thirdly, leveraging the AI. So I'll finish on this. I've used a couple of different tools. I'm now using a combination of tools. So there are tools out there that will take your text. So you got to write the script. They'll take your text and they'll literally turn it into a video, where it automatically tries to work out what the text is saying to put with it a little bit of stock footage, like a 4 to 10 second piece of video that matches what it thinks you're trying to say. Now you can go in obviously and adjust that. And they seem to work really well. I'm using software to take my text and turn it into a voice. I get to choose the accent. I get to choose the gender. And that gives me some choices of voices to use. You end up just picking a couple that you really like and you just run with them. So that's been fine. And the third thing that I have done is as something becomes saturated, then that pattern interrupt, that getting people's attention becomes more important. So therefore, other things you can do with the video in that first 5 seconds make an impact. So if it's something like turning a clip upside down, because obviously if it's upside down, it'll catch somebody's attention, and put in like hand-drawn doodles on the beginning of the video, putting a glitch effect on the video, anything that you can test that is weird, bizarre, unusual, that stands out, allow you to test it. So I've got software that allows me to kind of put the video together. I can pull in all sorts of little stock footage, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, match it up with the script. And then when it's done, because that's just a little bit more manual, I've got another piece of software that I can then upload that video to, which goes through and creates the subtitles. It then allows me to customize the look of the subtitles. So if I want them green, I want them white, and so on, and I'm playing with different colors to see what has an impact, then I can do that. And then I've got a finished video. So literally you can go from write a script. I mean, the longest part for me is just coming up with angles. It's just coming up with different angles, which is why the easiest thing is to kind of do the research. Who is it you're trying to reach? What are they interested in? What are their problems? What are their frustrations? What are the goals they're trying to achieve? And then I just let my brain play with it. That whole thing of Eureka, where Eureka was sat in the bath and all of a sudden you had a breakthrough insight, the Eureka moment. And these tend to work when you're relaxed. So it's like feed your mind everything you need to feed, go off and do something else, and boom, then you have the insights. So once I've got that, writing a script, fairly straightforward, it's formulaic. Once that's done, then beyond that, I've got a script. I turn the script into a voice. I upload the voice into the video software that allows me to see the video wave, and I can then go through and pull in relevant clips that match what I'm saying in that little piece. And then once I've got that, I export that as a video. And then, as I say, I'm now using another piece of software, which I've uploaded. It goes through it, turns what I've said into subtitles perfectly coordinated through the video. So I don't have to go through and caption it individually myself. I get to customize the look of those subtitles, export it, I'm done. Now I've got an ad. So that process, really quick. And as I said, you can also, if you wanted to, there's other software that will take what you write, it'll take your script and just create the whole video with the subtitles on it, and it's done. And, you can play with that. But I found, for me personally, I'm a little bit more, I end up wanting to change so many things. I think that this is just an easier workflow. But it's still a rapid workflow. It's still quick. Leverage the software that's out there is my advice, because it allows you to create, 3, 4, 5 videos, ads, 2-minute ads in a day quite easily. And then you get them uploaded, you get your tracking in place. Maybe we'll do a live where I show you the tracking and the conversions, what you need to set up. And then obviously you're away. Because as long as the algorithm's got conversions to play with, it knows what the goals are, then it will work. All right, I'm going to leave it there. That's 30 minutes of me rambling on. It's been good for me, actually. I enjoy actually just having the opportunity. The extrovert in me likes to talk. Even if nobody's listening at the time, I like to talk. Leave any questions you've got about this below. Think about how you could use this to sell your coaching. And I would say one of the key challenges I see with people selling coaching is they're not clear what they're selling. In other words, what's the result and how is it packaged? So what are you actually selling? So make sure you're clear on that. It becomes so much easier beyond that point. Then it's just a question of creatives, writing a great creative, and then obviously getting in front of the right people. If you are worried or afraid of spending money on advertising and seeing no return from it, then your answer to that is to get better skilled at it. Because if your default, and this is a challenge, if your default is to say, I want to be able to do all of this without spending a penny on advertising, then you're into creating a lot of content which is going to take time to build up an audience. So that could take you 8-9 years to really get a solid audience. So if you've got 8-9 years to wait, fine. But how much is it costing you? How much money are you leaving on the table by not learning a skill, which is really copywriting, which is fairly straightforward, and just getting good at being a little bit more creative? So I'll leave you with that. If you're not buying ads, then you're leaving a huge amount of money on the table. It is a skill. It does require a little bit of pay to play. But if that brings up a fear in you, then I would suggest that's something you want to deal with. Maybe go find a coach who can help you blow out that fear, because that's getting in the way. I guarantee that is what is stopping you from having the success that you want in your business, coaching or otherwise. All right. Leave any comments, leave any questions below. I will come back and check them out, and I'll read them and I will answer them. And I will see you next week. Take it easy.